Hello, and this is my presentation for Class RGA 6202, Winter 2017. I'm presenting the 21st Century Cures Act, a focus on Title III, Subtitle F, Medical Device Innovations. The 21st Century Cures Act is a much-needed revision and addition to current healthcare laws. It was signed into law by President Barack Obama in December 2016, and it's the second largest piece of legislation that he had passed. It's a bipartisan bill. It's designed to improve patient outcomes, and it's focusing on patients first, which is really nice. Major areas were advancing precision medicine, health research, data access, collaborative research, patient-focused drug development, new drug therapies, patient access to therapies, medical device innovations, vaccine access, and much more. These areas needed improvement. These areas were lacking what they should have had, and this law is going to improve them and hopefully improve patient outcomes. The funding for the bill is over 10 years. It's $6.3 billion, and I just want to give a few examples of where the money was allocated. $500 million went to the FDA for the development and research for new cures and innovative projects. $1 billion to overcome the country's opioid epidemic, and that's $1 billion over 2 years. $4.8 billion for biomedical research, $1.8 billion for cancer research. In my opinion, I think that $500 million to the FDA is a very low dollar amount. I think it could have been a lot more. At least $1 billion is what I think it could have been and should have been. These are important dates that I think everybody should be familiar with to help you understand how we got to where we are right now, why we need new rules about medical devices. In February 17th, 2009, the HITECH Act was passed, and this provided incentives to your doctors to transition from paper records over to electronic health records. So basically, this was the point that all hospitals and physician offices were becoming electric. And why you go to your doctor's office today, and he can, no longer have to write you a prescription. He can just order you a prescription right on the computer in front of you. That's part of the HITECH Act. And then in March 2013-2010, of course, Obamacare was passed, and most people associate Obamacare with just insurance, which majority of it is. But on the backside of it was the development of state health exchanges and, of course, the federal exchange as well. These exchanges, including the exchange that I worked on in Massachusetts, move extremely large amounts of data, and it's patient data. It's the most amount of patient data ever moved from one point to another. So even if Obamacare was completely gone, the exchanges will still exist, and the ability to move large portions of data from one point to another will still be there. That technology will exist. As I said earlier, in December 13th, 2016, the 21st Century Cures Act was signed by President Barack Obama, and it is designed to accelerate new medical treatments and organize the FDA approval process. Specifically today, I will be discussing Title III, Subtitle F, Medical Device Innovations. Title III, Medical Device Innovations, consists of 10 subsections. And you can take a second and read them right there. And all of these subsections are designed to improve patient outcomes and to clarify some current rules that exist right now. I will be discussing 5 of those 10: breakthrough devices, recognition of standards, certain Class 1 and Class 2 devices, cleaning instructions and validation data requirements, clarifying medical software regulation. I just want to play a clip of the day that the Century 21st Cures Act was signed by President Barack Obama, because I think you will see that this has an impact on everyone. Either directly or indirectly, it's going to have an impact on everyone. So it's important to see.
There we go.
All right.
God willing, this bill will literally, not figuratively, literally save lives. But most of all, what it does, just this mere signing today, Mr. President, as you know better than I do, gives millions of Americans hope.
It's not always easy to remember, but being able to honor those we've lost in this way, and to know that we may be able to prevent other families from feeling that same loss, that makes it a good day. And I'm confident that it will lead to better years and better lives for millions of Americans, the work that you've done. That's what we got sent here for.
I think that's very well said. All of us have had losses, and this should, like I said, improve patient outcomes and make people who are now going through medical treatments or other areas, could make it easier for them, could make it better for them. We have to see. The first subsection I'm going to talk about is subsection 3051. It's probably my favorite area. It's breakthrough medical devices. The subsection is basically to apply efficient and flexible approaches to expedite the development of and prioritize the Food and Drug Administration's review of devices that represent breakthrough technologies. So these are devices that currently do not exist. These are new technologies that are coming out, things that you and I have never even seen. And the overall objective of everything is to reduce or eliminate the need for hospitalization. That's the only way that a device can get breakthrough designation. Again, it must reduce or eliminate the need for hospitalization. It should also improve the patient quality of life, facilitate patients' ability to manage their own care, or establish long-term clinical efficiencies. So it's important. This is going to help patients be able to take care of themselves, and this could lead towards doctors beginning to practice preventative healthcare, where they will maybe one day call you because of a device that you're using and say, hey, I see that you have a problem with this or that. Maybe you should come into the office. There are major critics that believe that subsection 3051 will only bring devices to patients too fast, resulting in devices that are not safe and efficient. But there are critics for everything. I put Doc Brown. He designed, a time machine, and everybody was critical of him. So there's critics out there for everything. I wanted to also go over product development life cycle, because it's very important to understand. Everything we own has gone through and is going through a life cycle. If you look on there, you'll see there's an old car, and then there's the new Prius. Technology moves forward constantly. If you look below it, you'll see toothbrushes, and you'll see today's modern electronic toothbrushes. This is what happens. Things get better over time. Things improve. The problem the FDA has right now is that the current voluntary expedited pathway is a slow system that's causing devices that are meaningful to become clogged in that system. So subsection 3051 is going to loosen up these two areas right here. Submission to FDA and the approval process. That's it. Everything else about the evolution of it, everything about the development life cycle of it is exactly the same. Nothing changes. They're just going to make it, they're just going to soften that one area up. And I think it's important too, because technology moves fast. And if you don't move fast enough with technology, then you're going to get left behind. So no pipeline should ever be clogged. That's my opinion of it. And of course, the overall goal is to reduce or eliminate the need for hospitalization, literally. You cannot have a breakthrough device if you cannot do that. And I think that's important. Subsection 3053 is recognition of standards. This has to do with training FDA employees that are reviewing PMAs. Previous guidance and standard operating procedures will be identified and updated. The identification of foreign regulatory authorities and whether recognition of standards will promote harmonization. So we're looking to have some harmonization. And it adds value to subsection 3051 because it will keep FDA staff current on PMA standards. It'll keep them sharp. FDA staff will be reviewing PMAs. Also, they'll have periodic training. So they'll always be on their feet. So I don't think that because of subsection 3051, bringing breakthrough devices to market will be negative, because this section right here is going to make sure that the people reviewing those PMAs are on their feet. Subsection 3053 is also device specific. So it'll be really tailored towards what these people are reviewing. So they'll never be moving from one device to another device. It'll be device specific. So it's a very important area, and I think it's going to make for efficiency, and I think that products that will get approved will be approved appropriately. Subsection 3054, certain Class 1 and Class 2 devices. This is important because this has to go along with what I was talking about with the life cycle of products. They're trying to move devices from Class 2 down to Class 1 and then eventually 510K exempt. I put PMA up there because I believe that some companies will argue that their device should be moved from PMA down to Class 2. But it's just designed to have technology that no longer needs reviews into 510K exemption, and moving devices from Class 2 to Class 1. And overall become a more cost-effective for everybody, because companies won't have to spend all that money that they need to spend to get a 510K approved. They can just, the product is in Class 1, they're okay, and then if it's from Class 1 to 510K exempt, then that's fine. There are certain products out there right now that literally the technology of it has expired. The development life cycle of it is over. There's no more technology you can add to it, so it should be 510K exempt. Section 3059, cleaning instructions and validation data requirements. I found this section to be just absolutely amazing, because it is designed to reinforce the importance of formal, documented, and validated cleaning instructions. I cannot believe that we have to actually have documented instructions. Well, I believe we should have instructions on how to clean equipment, so there's always something to refer to. But I can't believe that we have to let people that are using this equipment have to remind them and have a law for them to do this. This should just be part of their standard operating procedure, part of best practices. There will be a published list of all identified reusable devices that fall under subsection K. So on the left, for example, are instructions for an endoscope. These devices will be required to have instructions, as I've said, for use, and have validated data of cleaning, disinfection, sterilization, and for which a substantial equivalence determination may be used. In 2015, 3 patients at UCLA Medical Center were exposed to dirty endoscopes. 2 of them died, and they estimate that over 170 patients were exposed to dirty endoscopes. That's just terrible. That shouldn't happen. So over on there, you see a picture that says clean and dirty. These are tamper-proof tags that they're going to start putting on devices so that they'll be able to identify if something is dirty or if something is clean. And again, I find it amazing. I just think that it should be part of a doctor and a doctor's staff best practices to have clean equipment all the time. So hopefully this will reinforce that. And on the right there, that is what they were exposed to. That is CRE. It's also a superbug, and it is very dangerous. It's lethal. Subsection 3061, clarifying medical device software regulation. This is great because there's been a real big uptick with people buying, Fitbits, Apple Watches, starting to get, taking care of themselves, starting to, identify with applications that they can monitor their intake of food, whether they're running, all these things. It's nice. This identifies 5 specific areas that are necessary that kind of, in my opinion, fall out from the HITECH Act. So there are 5 areas that the FDA will not monitor as medical devices, and those are administrative and operational. So appointment software, wellness applications for tracking exercise, that would be like a Fitbit, EHR systems themselves, which is great, software for transferring, storing, converting formats, or displaying data, and finally, clinical decision software. This is really good. This is a good separation from the FDA, and it'll really help doctors utilize these systems that some of them didn't want to use, and it should encourage people to use software to help them out, because now developers can develop software without fearing that they have to go through the FDA to get their software approved. They can just develop it, put it out there, and let people use it. So who do you believe should be making medical device rules? Should it be a group of doctors? Should it be our entire government? Or should it be the president of the country, who seems to really want to not implement these type of rules and just make things, I think, more difficult than they have to be? My final thoughts are that it should be a panel of doctors, the FDA, and I say that because they only allocated $500 million to the FDA. So everything comes back to money. If you're only going to give $500 million to these important new rules, why should the government have such a saying in it? They're not the actual people practicing medicine. So I think it really should be up to the FDA and doctors getting together and making these decisions on whether or not these type of rulings should be implemented or not. And of course, the overall scope of everything is safety first, patients first, and improving patient outcomes. Thank you very much for watching this, and have a great day.